I feel like it's our responsibility as artists to use our art to change the world.
Me making art inherently is going to be some sort of social act, some sort of revolutionary act.
If the white audience doesn't understand my story, then that's on them.
There was no representation of queer Native women playing guitar, screaming in the mic.
Pop music is politics.
Put it bluntly, I'm hoping to radicalize people with what I put out there. I think that's a sexy idea.
Hi, I'm Francisco Cabrera.
What up, It's your girl, Noor.
My name is Mo Butterfly.
I am Ariane.
My name is Grayson Ezekiel Colbert.
Hi, I'm T.
My name is Quentin Arispa.
Hey, my name is DJ On.
My name is Christian Obando.
My name is David Granum.
I'm Angeli Arreola Burrell.
My name's Naomi Etwa.
Hey guys, I'm Aria Lee.
Yat Becky Jones Inishia, Totoni Nashla, Ashihan Bashishtin, Tabahan Nationala, Matishkini Dashite. Hello everybody, my name is Becky Jones. I do jewelry called Moon Girl 666.
And I am a singer, songwriter, entrepreneur.
So I do multimedia art, but right now I'm leaning into a pop persona project.
I am a video editor, storyteller.
I am a writer-director.
Filmmaker is a big title.
And I've always been interested in art as long as I can remember.
I like experimenting and working with all types of mediums.
I'm Venezuelan American, which is a weird term that I didn't know I could claim.
And I am Korean.
I'm Seneca tribe, but also just Native Indigenous person.
I am a Denef Femme from Fort Defiance, Arizona. I'm based out of occupied Tiwa territory, Albuquerque, New Mexico.
I'm queer, Latinx queer.
I'm bisexual.
Bisexual is still a difficult word that I haven't learned how to say out loud.
I identify as bisexual. I'm also part of the kink community.
And I'm Two-Spirit. Two-Spirit is kind of like an umbrella term. It can mean a lot of different things to different people. It kind of encompasses gender and sexuality. But in general, it's basically people and tribes who embrace the feminine and masculine parts inside them.
Journey as a queer artist. Honestly, even when I came out, I just did it. So, my music, I just did it.
I knew I was queer at high school and I was out, but it wasn't until freshman year of college where I was this is who I am, this is me. And that also started to shape the stories that I wanted to tell.
How do I create art and make it so that there is a subtlety to it, so that it is consumable and it is enjoyable, it's entertaining, because that's my favorite part, and also hold on to a core message, make the audience uncomfortable, make them think.
Feels weird to even do your own art right now. Kind of feels like posting a selfie, in that you are taking up a space in part to center things about you, and I don't think that's right.
I feel like it's our responsibility as artists to use our art to change the world. I do think that it's still important to make self-centered art during movements, especially as a woman of color, just making your voice heard and putting yourself out there. But I think that there comes a time when it's more important to be explicit about what you're trying to say.
My jewelry is pretty political too, because I have fuck white supremacy, ACAB, fuck police. I think it's just in general, this is just how I can express myself, and to help folks to become more politically conscious of what's happening, especially within the Indigenous world.
For me, as a Asian female, bisexual, kinky filmmaker, I feel like I, in a way, tick a lot of the boxes in terms of people who are marginalized. But that also means, I guess, it's layers upon layers of things that are difficult in my life that I think other people might not necessarily know about. So I think one thing that I've really been trying to do is be unapologetic and be vulnerable and be authentic with my stories and with my identity.
If I am a queer Black person, me making art inherently is going to be some sort of social act, some sort of revolutionary act.
Most of my art has ended up being centered in my identity, which inherently connects to a lot of social issues, because as a Black and Indigenous queer person,
I have the blessing of being Black, and so it's just it innately just seeps itself into every story you tell because it's just your life, you know? So like, I mean, even Choose Us, that's a part of my story as just being a Black woman and loving as a Black woman, you know? And a lot of people can just relate to the way that we love, because as Black people, I feel like we love very intimately and very deeply and hard. And I think people who are disenfranchised do love like that because they want that kind of love, you know?
This is like my first solo record, but I've been playing in bands and making music like for more than like 5 years now. But because I never saw like a gay Asian male like fronting a band, I never really put that much effort into my own solo work because I was just like, no one's gonna listen to it, no one's gonna care.
It was really, really hard not being able to have outlets for folks, or having outlets and people to look up to that look like me, that experience things like me. And that's kind of why I really pushed forward with punk music, with being in a band and being like the front woman in my band Weed Rat, because I didn't have that when I was younger. There was no representation of like queer Native women playing guitar, screaming in a mic. It took a while, but you know, I'm hoping that some young people will see what I'm doing and think, oh, if she can do it, I can do it.
Native culture is so not talked about, and I feel like there's so many people that don't even know it really exists, so I'm really glad to be able to share that with people. But it's definitely been a while getting there. I know senior year in my school, I had like an art show about the struggles of being a modern day Native person, and people were like threatening to tear my art off the walls. It's definitely been hard getting here to be okay with what I'm making, but I'm glad I'm making it just for the thousands of messages I get saying they're so glad that they have representation and they can see themselves in my art.
I feel like as a Black person, I have authentic like experiences and just stories to tell regarding it that could truly like just teach the audience about like what Blacks really go through and not make it some like stereotypical experience. I remember just reading up about the people in the credits, and I did not see a single Black woman, and it like bothered me a lot, like to my core. I'm not only not on the screen, but I'm also not only like behind the scenes. So it really motivated me and like inspired me to just like pursue film.
There isn't a lot of visibility when it comes to like my intersection, because I have to sort of like compartmentalize myself in terms of I am either Black, a woman, or queer. I can't ever be like, you know, all three at the same time.
I think that coming into being queer is something that I've had to do like more actively, more recently. And I feel like I had already come into being Black. And so what I was focusing on in my art was like really owning the queer narrative. But it was nice to be reminded that I'm not just a queer woman, I'm a queer Black woman. And I want to put more of that into my art.
Diversity has become such a buzzword, you know, and like, oh, this inclusion, this and diversity, that sometimes like when you keep hearing these things, you can't help but to like see yourself less as a person and more like a quota and a token, you know? Like it'd be great if I could just be heard as like a person too.
From the day I was born, my mom ensured that I was gonna have somewhat of a white identity because my name is David Jonathan Granum. Like if I put that on any resume, they're thinking like, you know, Bill's gonna come in. But like, no, David's gonna come in and they're like, wow, wow, wow. But as soon as I start speaking, they're like, okay, eloquent, he has some type of education to him. And I'm like a check on the list now. But at the end of the day, at that protest, when that guy threatened to arrest me, he didn't know my background. The lieutenant was actually really good friends with one of my mentors, but he didn't know who I was because I was wearing a chain, I was wearing a wife beater, I was wearing basketball shorts, and I looked like a thug. So I think I want to really play with that too now in my art, is different types of looks and aesthetics, and how can we make people uncomfortable and just start thinking a little bit more.
One of the things that I have to do is like research sort of like the looks that they need for like the characters and things like that. And I've been doing that sort of like in my downtime, which is like a bit of like a is good to kind of get away and sort of recharge my mind before I go into sort of like the really, like, I'd say psychologically intensive like job of screenwriting, because a lot of the screenwriting that I do is like, I don't know, it takes a toll on my brain.
I just want to work on like writing and perfecting more scripts I have in the past that deal with Black issues, because I feel like the scripts I have in the past about Black issues just like more so cater to like the white audience and like having them understand what goes on in the Black community, and I really want to change it. If the white audience doesn't understand my story, then like that's on them.
When I like decided that I wanted to like make like a solo project, I knew that I didn't want to make like trauma porn, just because like as like queer artists and like people of color like artists, like I feel like sometimes we're expected to make art that's like, oh, like my life is so sad because I'm like oppressed and like society.
For a lot of time, I used trauma to convince people that my story matters. I'm like, here's all my blood, here's all my pain, care about me, non-Latinos, care about me, older generation, care about me. I think like knowing your worth and then knowing that you don't need to convince anybody that you matter, I think is the best thing you can tell somebody who's been told that they don't matter, is that like, you don't need to convince them. Like, you know your worth, and you can show that in your work, and you can show that in your storytelling. There's a version of Junior that has a sad ending, but that's not what 12-year-old me needed. So then who's your audience? I was getting notes from people who weren't part of my community, from my white teachers, my white film teachers, or my white, classmates, and I didn't take them as advice or as a grain of salt. I took them because I wanted them to like the movie.
I'm one of those people that really values the concept of escapism within music. Like, I don't necessarily want to put too many undertones of the climate in my music, which I don't know how people may or may not take that, but it's like, I'm an activist and I'm an artist. I'm both of those things. And it's like, but I can have exclusion between the two. I want people to be able to listen to my album, and I want them to be able to have, about 45 minutes of escapism and selfishness. Like, I want people to get to be selfish for a moment when they listen to my music, because like self-help and self-healing is a part of this activism. Like, if you are not aligned, if you are not doing good with you, there ain't no way you're going to be able to help all these, other people.
You can't do anything, any kind of creative work, if you're like, just about miserable. And like me going with my like transition and all that has definitely like helped my mental health to the point where like I can, feel more confident in who I am and like what kind of voice that I have.
It's hard because sometimes I don't feel on top and I feel like heavy, and it all does feel heavy, and so it's hard to not always make jewelry, especially right now, because there's so much pain. And so when I'm making jewelry, and they always say like, for folks who are like making, who are silversmiths, who make medicine, like to have good intentions, to have that good feeling so that you can put that into the jewelry and not to put the sorrow and the anger.
This has been a lot for me. And my heart, my little heart. And so it's like I need, for me at least right now, to keep it separate. And then once this becomes more of my norm, then maybe in the next album I may say, you know what, I got something to say.
Pop music is politics. It really allows people to like not only see me and my presence as a present, but also see like through my stories, like the spectrum of who I am, and hopefully they become closer to me, and hopefully that allows them some freedom within themselves, and thus allows freedom within other people, and thus allows freedom for other Black folks to be however they want to exist, or other queer folks to exist however they want to exist, or other femme folks to exist however they want to exist. The whole point of this whole work that I'm doing is to like say, yo, we can just live. What if we just lived? What if we said that fuck the way that this society has like conditioned us to think what our worth is? Like, we are more than that. We are so much richer than that. And if you only prescribe to what was given to you, you're missing out on big aspects of who you are. And that's unfair. I'm mad at that. And that's really like where my activism lives, is creating little portals for people to see how big they can be. Whether they enjoy my Instagram and the color and like the flamboyance of the world, whether they enjoy the nuances of my songs, they enjoy how I communicate in an interview or a video live stream. Like, I hope for it to be a little bit an opportunity for them to open themselves up, and thus giving more mobility to other people who I represent and champion, queer, Black, POC, femme folks.
To put it bluntly, I'm hoping to like radicalize people with what I put out there. I think that's a sexy idea. And that is like my, kind of like my mission statement at this point. It is an agenda to an extent, but I think all art is, you know, if you don't have anything to say, then you shouldn't say anything at all. And what I'm saying is 1312. I don't know. Like,
we're not gonna stop. That's just the thing.
Pretty much.
We're not gonna stop until, as long as we both got a heartbeat, y'all gonna keep seeing stuff from us.
I want to be a versatile artist, and I want to be someone who has something to say that hasn't been said.
And by sharing like stories that aren't heard, I'm hoping others could, I don't know, get a taste of what the experience is like. If my work could like get people started into thinking a different way, maybe gain a more sympathetic point of view, then I think I've done my work.
I want to get back at this like whole entertainment but uncomfortable, and I think that is activism, and I want that to be I think moving forward, anything that I do, I want it to kind of always hone in that back, because it is a movement, it's not a moment, and it's going to continue until I see like systemic changes. We can only hope.